Hi guys, I'm Kuroshima and I work at the Hiroshima Prefectural Government. And thank you very much for joining us today for this online seminar. So in today's seminar, we will focus on the theme, establishing a startup company in Hiroshima. We are pleased to welcome a guest who has moved to Hiroshima and started her own business and is enjoying the rural lifestyle in Japan. Now, without further ado, let me say hello to today's guest, Kira-san. Hi, how are you?
Hi everyone, I'm doing great.
Good, thank you. And today's host, Tom-san.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Good, thank you very much. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Tom-san, please.
Okay.
お願いします。
Thank you, Mitch. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Kira, for coming on this webinar. So just before we start, I just have a few kind of um, housekeeping kind of things to go through at the beginning. So one is it's a bit of a pain, but if you can possibly change your name to the name that you registered with for this webinar. It will really help the people at Hero Bureau to kind of direct information and things like that afterwards. So if you can do that while we're talking, that would be great. And then also, I'd just like to go through um, the flow for today's webinar. So we're going to start off just with a really brief introduction, first by me, and then we'll go through the slides for Kira-san. And then after that, we'll have a quick general conversation, general discussion, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. And today, yeah, there's so much interest in this webinar about hearing about Kira's experiences. So there's going to be quite a lot of people joining. And so please, can you direct your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom rather than the chat, because I think that's going to be easier for me to pick up. And if there's going to be quite a lot of questions. So if we don't get through to your specific question, you can direct that to Hirobiro afterwards, and they can direct it to whoever's best suited to answer that question. Yeah, and so I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. No, I think I've forgotten something, but I'll come to it again. Okay, so let's start with. Okay, so I'll start with my. Oh yeah, also, sorry, I did forget something. So there's going to be a recording of this webinar, and then the link will be given to everyone who applied for the webinar. So even if you have to leave during the webinar, you'll get a link to a YouTube video link that you can watch at a later date. Great. Okay, so I'll start quickly with my self-introduction. So I'm Tom, and I relocated to Osaki Shimojima Island. Oh, so next slide, please. Osaki Shimojima Island in 2015 from Tokyo, and it's to a small kind of historical port town on the island called Mitalai. We bought a Akia, an empty building, and then renovated it, and also the local old post office building was empty, so we've changed that into an island tea and scone shop that we operate at the weekends. So my wife, who's Japanese, she was the local rural revitalization officer, and that's kind of like a semi-governmental post um, that yeah gives you like a contract for 3 years, and then that kind of helps you establish yourself in the countryside out here. So that was really helpful for us. I do photography and writing, and I have a company called Island Pictures. And although we're an island, we're connected by bridges to the mainland. And it's since about 3 years ago, it's got really fast internet. So that makes life really easy. And also in 2020, a group of newcomers, we established Tobishima Life, which is like a portal site, just giving information to people who are thinking of moving to to the Tobishima Islands, which is the island chain um, where I live. Okay, next slide, please. So these are just a few pictures of the scenery around where I am. So the thing about Hiroshima is it's very different from, it's got a really diverse landscape. So Kirasan is up towards the mountains, in the mountainous areas north of Hiroshima City. And then you've got Hiroshima City, and then down south you've got these kind of temperate islands of the Seto Inland Sea. So you can do, yeah, you can go from island living to kind of skiing in the mountains within a few hours, which is great. Sorry, next slide, please. Yeah, so these are a few more pictures of Mitalai, where I live. Next slide, please. Maybe next slide. Okay, just a few more pictures, just to give you a sense of the place. And this is our house. So when we bought it, it was like a traditional Japanese house, and then we just renovated it. You can't, in Mitale, it's a historical preservation district, so you can't actually touch the outside of the building, but you can do what you like with the inside. And so we actually um, made it a bit more spacious. Next slide, please. And then, yeah, we just kind of made it a lot more open, and it looks like an IKEA showroom, but yeah. Okay, next slide. And then, yeah, so since 2020, we've been doing these webinars in English for basically having guests on who have foreign residents who have relocated to the countryside around Hiroshima, and it's just like a casual chit chat, just to kind of like give the audience a better understanding of what it means to live in the countryside and the challenges, but also the benefits of that. So today, I think we're going to be in the similar kind of style and just talking to Kira about her experiences, and also about starting a business in the Japanese countryside. So, okay, so that's my introduction. So I'll hand over to Kira, and then she can tell you about hers.
Thank you, Tom. And it's so cool to see your project. I really want to visit, and you definitely make it look so appealing and beautiful. So I hope I'll be able to come and then even channel some people that I know that know my stuff to head over there and we can do stuff all together. So hi everybody. A lot of people here might know me already, but my name's Kira. I am an entrepreneur, which sounds weird to say now, but I've gone through quite a intense process to get the business manager visa in Japan. So next slide, please. Basically, where I'm from, a lot of people think that I am Japanese, and I'm actually born in Tanzania, raised in Australia, moved to the US. I studied conservation in the Amazon rainforest in Peru, which I think led to a lot of my ambitions and my ideas out in the countryside of Japan, where I really want to conserve and protect the amazing culture and history that exists here. So that conservation experience helped me so much. And I traveled to 41 countries by the age of 24. And I found my little slice of paradise in Kita, Hiroshima, Japan. and I have been to about 19 prefectures across Japan and just really fell in love with the countryside and the people here. And I think my ability to move across the world and immigrate to different places helped me a lot in getting the confidence to do this. And I think I've just really built my life around loving the world and humanity. So that's my sort of story about where I'm from. Next slide, please. And as for why I came to Japan, as you noted from my previous slide, I've always just had a love for travel and the world. And when I graduated university, I told everybody in my graduation speech that I was going to travel indefinitely. And nobody really knew exactly what that meant, but I knew that it meant I wanted to continuously learn and stay curious and keep seeking new challenges. And I think my chapter in the US sort of came to a close and I was ready for something else, something more challenging, and I set off to travel the world a bit more. And I really was driven to live in Japan because of a ryokan, a traditional Japanese bed and breakfast that was located on an island off the coast of Nagasaki. And this place just looked so special to me, and I knew it would encompass a lot of Japanese traditions. And I was very excited by that idea. And the only way to work there was with the correct visa. So I got the working holiday visa. And when they gave it to me, they told me I would be able to have that visa for 18 months. And I didn't know that I was going to be in Japan for 18 months. And they told me you can only get this visa once in your life. So that marked the start of my chapter in Japan. And I fell in love with life here. I traveled so much. I worked and volunteered all over. And I really fell in love with my community. And I wanted to do something, especially because I joined a traditional Japanese performance team called Kagura, and my community became really important to me. And many Japanese people have no idea what Kagura is, and foreigners have no idea what more to Hiroshima there is besides the museum and the city. So I just saw a lot of potential in sharing my amazing experiences here with the world. And I discovered the startup entrepreneurial program here, and it was just a very ripe time, and I was the right person at the right time to be here. And I'm one of 4 applicants in all of Hiroshima Prefecture to use this program. So that's where I am today. Next slide, please. And yeah, going back on some of the highlights in Japan that sort of led me to start this business. The first picture is on Ojika Island, which is the reason I'm here today and the motivation behind everything. And I was working in Kyoto for many months making this really beautiful ice cream. I did a internship at the Institute of Sustainable Energy Policy in Tokyo, and that gave me a lot of the skills necessary to go through all the paperwork. That was a very enriching experience. Got to experience the city, decided that wasn't really for me. And then I moved to Kyoto and I was doing work as an au pair and taking care of kids and teaching English before moving to the countryside where I joined the dance team and then eventually started my business, Kirameki, which is where I am today at our headquarters at Kirameki Center. Next slide, please. Now, with the process of starting my business and how I want to discuss this and tell you guys how you could do it too, I basically combined all of the things that are important to me that create the perfect lifestyle. And I asked myself, what do I love? What skills do I have? What does my community need? And what can give me income and also make an impact? And I really didn't start anything with the idea just to start a business. I wanted to do something meaningful with my life. I wanted to do, the dream job is to feel like you're not really working and you want to really put your passions into whatever you do. And I think that was the best decision to really head into this business with the mindset of just doing something you're passionate about. And I really suggest everyone who is interested in starting a business and making a big change in their life to do this, make sure it's something you really want to do because it is going to throw a lot of challenges at you. And it's very important to do what you love, and that's why I'm here today and able to give this talk, because I just really love what I'm doing. And through my travels and through the way I experienced Japan, I was constantly staying with host families and exploring way deeper parts of Japan that most tourists might not be able to experience. And all of these gems of Japan led me to find where I'm living and led me to have a deeper appreciation for the culture and history and traditions of Japan. So that was very important to me, and that shaped my business. And as I said, I was the first foreigner to be approved from outside in this startup entrepreneurial visa program. It was an interesting process with my working holiday visa expiring. I traveled, I came back, and it's really a case by case basis. But I knew that I might fail and I might have a lot of obstacles in my way. And I have a mindset that I might as well try it. And it might not be perfect, but I'm going to fix what breaks and keep going. And I think that's what has been able to set me apart. And you really just have to have the drive and motivation to just keep going. And even when things aren't going to be easy, I think the mindset to just send it really helped me rather than wait and let things pass me. So that was my mindset that really shaped this. And then I think my global experiences and traveling the world taught me about what the global demand for this business was. And understanding the market as well as your local community will help you so much in any business anywhere in the world. So I think that was a very crucial component and why I have found a lot of success in this, because I think the beautiful life and traditions of rural Japan that even some locals might not even be aware of or recognize in their own hometown, I knew that the love I have for it is shared across the world. And I think this is something that can really help you as a foreigner starting a business in Japan, is you have a fresh perspective that can be offered to your community and Japanese society. And this is the way you are able to meaningfully contribute whilst also being considerate and thoughtful in everything you do. So that was absolutely what I was oriented to do, and it's what I'm doing today. So just this intersection of passion, purpose, and community is the center of everything I'm doing. Next slide, please. And with the mission of what I'm doing, which also dives into qualities that I think everyone who should start a business in Japan should consider, is I really wanted to create unforgettable cultural experiences. I wanted to revitalize the countryside with sustainable tourism, recognizing the crises in Japan that Japan is trying to resolve every day. I wanted to inspire young people, both in Japan and abroad, to not just see the countryside as a boring place or a place of decline, and it's a place of beauty, history, and opportunity. And I think it says a lot about a place that someone like me, after traveling to 41 countries, I have decided this is the place for me. And I think once more people realize that, these beautiful places can be inhabited by amazing, inspiring people that are driven to contribute meaningfully to their town. So I really just want to bridge people across borders, and I hope to model something that other places in rural Japan can do through this understanding of the global market, and also really diving deep into what the community wants, which is, more human power, more exposure to international people, more English speakers. They want their kids to have opportunities and they can't travel because of the economy. So we are trying to allow people to travel without traveling. And that is the center of what I'm doing. And understanding what Japan needs will be the best avenue for anyone wanting to start a successful business in Japan. Next slide, please. And these are some images from what has been going on in the past couple months. It's been working. It has been a roller coaster of emotions and amazing experiences. And I have had people from across the world come visit me, people that have visited Japan countless times, and people who have never visited Japan coming all the way from New York straight to Kita, Hiroshima, Japan. So it is just a really amazing thing that is happening here. And even the second picture is this wonderful girl, Yumi, who is actually moving to my town, and she's from Osaka. She's 100% Japanese, and she's planning to work for my Kagura-dan, my Kagura team leader's company. So she is genuinely helping me revitalize this town and preserve the cultures and traditions. And she has told me that I just changed her life with my videos, with my business model, and with me offering this portal into my town and all the connections here. It's just been a beautiful experience. So that's been wonderful. Next slide, please. And just some pieces of advice for everybody to find success in living in Japan. And these are the things that really helped me and that I think would help you. As for like, making friends, having a sense of community, making connections, I really suggest immersing yourself as deep as you can in the local community, whether it's activities, clubs, festivals, or, pursuing things that really interest you. I think this is the best avenue to creating a place that feels like home. And I can't stress enough that joining this traditional Japanese dance team totally changed my life. And I have practices twice a week, every week, and it's from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's exhausting. We do it every week, and it's my chance to just focus on what's in front of me, enjoy the culture and traditions of Japan, and they have become like my family. They have opened every door for me. If my car breaks down, the Kagura team is on the way to help me. And I think it's a really special thing to join in the teams and activities. And for the most part, really, Japanese people are so welcoming and excited for you to be interested in the culture, and showing that enthusiasm is so important. And I really recommend being of service before seeking to lead. And this applies to people who want to start a business and maybe have an idea of what they think will be very successful, but you're not really asking what people are wanting or what they need in the community. And this can lead to you not really having a good connection with locals, and there can be a disconnect between you and the community you're living in if you're not being of service and doing something that seems relevant to what people are wanting. So I think that's a somewhat obvious thing, but you shouldn't lead with selfishness. You should definitely be excited to contribute to your community and even dive deeper into your community because of whatever business you choose to do. And I definitely think embracing humility, consistency, and curiosity is so important. I'm not fluent in Japanese, and even the tourism office, they'll meet me at various intervals throughout the year, and now I don't really need a translator for some, conversations, and they're so surprised. They know that I'm not really taking classes, but it's just all input and it's all absorbing, and I work really hard to do my best in every meeting I go to, and I'm just constantly learning and traveling, and I'm fulfilling exactly what I told everyone I would do when I graduated college, and I'm just traveling. So it's just been a wonderful experience to stay curious and open-minded. And for building trust with people, I think Japan is very, very deeply set in this, and this is the most important thing to do. And with any relationship and any person you meet in your community, you want to continuously show that you respect them, you're polite, you want to work hard every time. That's the standard. It's not, you don't, put minimal effort in one thing and just expect that to go down well, because everything, it adds up and it's cumulative. So building trust is so important. And for your hobbies and interests, no matter what you're interested in, I guarantee there's a niche situation in Japan that exists with that same hobby, whether it's spiritual or creative or, even mechanical. Like, there are different demographics and groups that you will fit into if you are really passionate about that. And Japanese people love passion. And as long as you are really sure of your identity and sure of your passions and interests, I think that can take you a really long way in Japan and serve you in your downtime, and when you're in your solitude. Just keep your hobbies and keep pursuing them. And my last thing is to not be afraid to try. And one of the most amazing experiences I've had that is not so common in the West is the way that everybody seems to support me, and everybody is working together to help me. And it might seem sometimes it's like too good to be true. Like, why are these good things happening to me? and they just care and they want you to succeed. And even all of the misconceptions that a community might be closed off to you, maybe they don't want to see you succeed, they're going to sabotage you. These are not true things for the countryside, for Hiroshima, for I think most of Japan. I think really putting yourself out there and doing your best and showing a lot of love for the country and the people, they just start falling into your lap and opportunities can start arising, and everybody is working to support you. The government who is handling all this visa stuff, they want you to succeed, and they check in so much to make sure you're on the right track, and they're there to support you if things go wrong, and you should always ask for help. So just let that be some reassurance for you that it is a really beautiful time to start something in Japan, and the people are the reason why it's so special here. Next slide, please. And what's next? Basically, I'm just continuing to grow the business. I'm meeting more people. I have people coming in from all over the world. I want to replicate this model. I want to help other places, whether it's through my social media and my website and just what I'm offering in this embodied experience of kirameki, which basically is synonymous to authentic, beautiful experiences in Japan now. So I think as long as I keep bridging different people and connecting people, I think having this resource for people that trust me and my opinions for traveling the world and really loving Japan and seeking deep experiences, I hope I can share more with tourists and people all over Japan. And I really want to promote world peace and positive change. And I think with every guest that comes here, they leave brighter and happier than when they first arrived. And it is a great honor of mine that people are so excited to be here and coming from all over the world to be here. So I think the world would be a better place if everyone could just experience some of the essence of Japan and all of the beautiful experiences here. You can learn a lot from being in Japan. And also, I'm definitely working on becoming fluent in Japanese, and that will definitely freak out all of my like collaborators and people in the years to come. And I've already had visions of the day that I'll be fluent and people will reflect on these juvenile years where I was struggling, and you will all regret mocking me. And I'm gonna get so much better every day, and it's going to be a very exciting thing to connect more deeply with my community. And I'm just so excited to connect more and more. And it seems the more I speak, the more I'm changing things. I'm making my presence known in rooms. I'm going to be in more news segments. It's an exciting journey to just keep growing and keep learning. So that's definitely on my agenda. And as for my personal life, I finally have my first garden of my life. And this is a beautiful element of living in the countryside. And I have sunflowers that are taller than me. All of my zucchinis are getting huge. And I'm so excited to start cooking with all of the food I'm growing in my garden. And I won't have to use a grocery store anymore, which is what everybody in my town's already doing. So I'm trying to catch up to them, but they've got a couple years on me. And I think this journey is really just beginning. And I think the countryside of Japan has been one of the most inspiring places to start something. And I have found it's a very amazing entrepreneurial spirit that exists in the countryside. And it seems that everybody has their own company or their own okonomiyaki shop and their own dreams and passions. And I think that's a very unique thing that you wouldn't expect in the countryside, but it's why I think I kind of fit in the way that I am so excited and confident and have this vigor for life. So that's what's next. And I'm not sure if there's another slide, but next slide. Maybe that's good. That's my story, everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful introduction into your life. And yeah, there's already like tons of questions. But before we kind of go into that, and also I guess at some point we're going to discuss like the real, step-by-step process that you had to go through to get this business manager visa. first of all, like just a few questions, like what, so you've traveled everywhere. You chose Hiroshima. You chose this place just north of Hiroshima. What made you say this was the place? Was there
It comes down to the community that made things so welcoming and beautiful. And, I have struggled with a sense of belonging because I'm just so mixed up and I've been to so many places. It's hard to call any place home. And I finally found myself like making routes and being part of events, and people are just excited and glad that a young person is moving into their town. And I just felt so happy here. And whether it's waking up to the beautiful nature every day or connecting with beautiful people every day, I think that's what's made this place stand far apart from any other place I've ever lived.
fantastic? And I mean, you went. I'm guessing you went there with very kind of limited Japanese. Uh, so I mean, like how hard or how easy or how much time did it take for you to kind of embed yourself with the community, the local community, and how long did it take for them to kind of,
Mm.
accept you, I guess, as a member of the community?
So I guess leading up to this, I mentioned it a little bit, but I was staying with so many host families across Japan, and this is after I had like worked in a lot of places across Japan. So I had like conversational Japanese. The way I would call it, I had like comedian level Japanese, and
Okay.
it was like I had enough Japanese to like talk about myself, express myself, and make jokes and like connect in that way. And then beyond that, with most host families, there's like an English speaker, like a little English. And staying with host families was the way that I've been able to not just like join in a community, but meet their family, stay in their house, experience the town so deeply. So I stayed with a host when I first came to Kita Hiroshima who loves Japan and loves where they live. And they showed me so many things. They introduced me to the Kagura team, and apparently he had taken many guests there, but I was the first person that was like, I want to join the team. And they were very surprised. And he also knew I was the most flexible with my life path because I was on a working holiday visa. I was just kind of enjoying everything. And when he asked me to take care of his house while he was traveling for a couple of months, I just jumped at the offer and just settled in. And one thing led to another. And it was just a bunch of little miracles that made this home.
Fantastic. Um, and I guess like, yeah, I'm just wondering, so as soon as you kind of embed yourself in that community, then everyone, you said that they're all just like extended family members and they're there to help. And I mean, you kind of hear so much about like the decline of the Japanese countryside. Um, and about you get a lot of kind of like bad news coming out of the Japanese country, depopulation, aging population. But in fact, that also creates opportunities, I guess, and you've seen that from yeah, living there and starting your business.
Absolutely. And I really find the people to be more passionate and confident and outspoken and like joyful than so many other places in Japan. And I think it's a combination of people really not being overworked and they have time for hobbies and passions. And I wasn't really introduced as like, oh, there's a foreign girl, she's just moving here. It was like, this is Kira and she's in a Kagura team. And they recognized me first for my contribution to the community, and that built up so much trust and genuine connection between everybody I met, which really helped me so much.
I mean, I think if anyone needed like a one slide that would help integrate yourself in the rural community. It's that slide that you presented in your presentation. That would just like hit every major point, you know. I think if you just follow those rules, then yeah, you're gonna get on with everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's it. Okay, so I think, well, I'm getting loads of questions here. So before we go into those, could you just like talk about your experience in actually applying for that startup visa,
Yeah.
and also the challenges that you experienced.
Yeah, the startup entrepreneurial program is a very exciting and interesting avenue to start a business in Japan, and it's quite a recent development. And before this program, you first had to start a company and then get the visa, which is impossible for a foreigner because you can't start a company without a visa. So it was just, there was no way to bypass this, and the government basically created this sort of loophole that allows you to first submit a proposal, and then you kind of get a probationary period for your visa, and then you have to basically follow the next steps, like establish the company, register it at the tax office, get an office, do those things. Then renewal process solidifies the business manager visa. So I just found this by digging really deeply into all of the options. It's not easy to find, and this seminar makes it much easier. And also, we will be able to share so many resources through this seminar. But I had none of that, and I just dug really deeply and I found it. And basically, I knew that it would take about 2 months, and my working holiday visa was going to expire like in like 3 months or something. Like it takes 2 months for the first initial application to get through, and then you have to do all the immigration stuff. So the second I read about it last August, I basically, in 2 weeks, I just made it. And I went crazy about it. Like, I just put up all this proposals. I didn't really have much advice. So it was a lot of trial and error. And it was a lot of me presenting my documents with a lot of problems and being sent back home and rewriting everything and then going back and then rewriting everything. And the way I did it, it would be so much easier if one, I spoke Japanese and I was completely fluent, and two, I lived in the city, and three would be, I if I had any mentorship and any advice and consultation, it would have helped so much. So just tons of trial and error, and all I had is an idea, a dream, and a lot of energy to keep going. So that's basically what I did. I just kept going, and I everything started to work out smoothly, and I got approved for the business proposal, and then it's an entirely new application for immigration. So basically, think of everything I accomplished there was just for a tiny little certificate saying you can proceed with the immigration office, and these offices don't communicate to each other. So this is a major problem, and you have to redo your whole application. There's all these new requirements for the business manager visa that they don't say in the startup. So my best recommendation is to really look at everything that you have to do, put them side by side, work on them side by side, because one way or another you'll have to do it all. And I think it was extremely tedious, and I just had to keep going back and forth. And they say that you actually need to be on like a tourist visa, or you have to be a foreigner to use this startup program. So they want you to basically start doing the application process when you're abroad, but you have to submit everything by paper in person. So there's a lot of tedious things going into this. The best piece of advice is you come to Japan on a tourist visa after working on your application. You maybe have like an established idea, some sort of sense of community and where you want to be, and you start doing the documents within a 90-day tourist visa period. And then it's just all a lot of trial and error, and give yourself at least 6 months to a year to really get this process fully fleshed out. But just lots of tedious work, but really, really worth it.
Oh, fantastic. So it's just basically it's like a marathon of paperwork, basically. You just gotta get to the end of it.
Yes, constantly.
But
I'm
there
not even through with it.
okay. Well,
Uh,
but there's a yeah, but then if you're successful, then that's and there is a judging process, isn't there? They review each application. Is it?
it sort of goes through like the mayor first. I have like a special stamp that declares like we like this business idea. Now move on to the immigration, and the national government, the immigration officers are determine your fate. And I guess it doesn't fully matter. They need this approval from the mayor, but they also need to approve every other document you have. So it's really like this combination of things. Like it's like totally looking at a new application, and like the startup is like one of the 10 requirements you need, but that startup has like 10 requirements. So it's like go through the layers of that, but really at the end of the day, the most important office to please is the immigration office, because that's the whole way you can stay in Japan.
Okay. And then I guess then with like getting the mayor's approval and things like that, this is the mayor of, I guess, Kita Hiroshima.
I think
So
it's
having that kind of
Hiroshima.
community backing
Yeah.
really helps the case. Yeah, helps your case if you.
I think building the proposal,
Mm.
you are able to sort of dive into all of the elements of your business and sort of like explain yourself. But I don't think I didn't really have any reference or guarantor that could like vouch for me. But it obviously like evolved. Like once you start submitting these applications, you are already on the government's radar. And you can imagine that, I was connected to the person who's like with this event, I was connected to him by the prefectural department of innovation who led me to this. So it was everyone sort of connected, and they start discussing things with everybody. So you're on the radar, and it's like put your foot in the door, and people begin to help you.
Right. And then, although the process just seems ridiculously complicated, crossing departments that don't talk to each other and things, were the people in each department, were they quite supportive, or was it tricky without Japanese, or
Yeah,
how did you support?
unfortunately, people, at least in Hiroshima, at least in the departments, there's really no English available, and it is very tricky. And I have managed to get by a lot with like friends who have just been available or with me through things. And then I typically bring like supplementary materials of like, what I'm doing for my business, an overview, some of the ideas I have already translated, and then you're just able to get your points across, and they understand how challenging it is for a foreigner to do this. So there's a lot of respect involved in like someone trying so hard. And I've had a really good experience with everybody that has supported me and worked with me through this process. That I initially it felt so tedious, and I thought I was being sabotaged, but it's not that case at all. And they want you to succeed, and that was the weirdest thing for me to realize. And it truly worked. Like don't ever like stop supporting me. And I think it's not a corrupt system, and if you just follow the list of things that they want, it will be approved. And that is something very interesting when you think, oh, I have all these papers, does it even make sense? If you submit every single thing required and followed all the instructions, it will be approved. It's just the case in point of what it's like to operate in the Japanese bureaucracy.
Brilliant. Okay, I think we're gonna have to open it up to questions just because there's like tons of questions coming in. For anyone who's putting questions in the chat, could you please put them in the Q&A box, and we'll start fielding these. Also, just a quick note. So if we don't get to your question, because we won't be able to cover all of them, you can put those questions to Hiroburo, who organizes uh, this webinar, and there'll be like a contact email at the end of the webinar. Okay, so just looking through these questions, and thank you for putting these questions through. Okay. So the first one, okay, so maybe just because we're talking about the process, there was a question about, is there any monetary value as a requirement to get the startup visa? So,
Yes. So the quick answer to this is basically the Startup Entrepreneurial Program and the Business Manager Visa have two options. The first option is to have 5 million yen in capital, and you just have to have that in a bank statement, and this is like investment capital. So apparently, once you apply and once you're approved, this 5 million yen has just it's just approved already, and you can start using this investment capital for your business. This wasn't very clear to me, and I thought I had to keep this 5 million yen for renewal purposes. I did keep it anyways for this upcoming renewal, but in general, I am heard that you are able to spend this money once you are approved. They just need to know this financial security that you are able to have this business. That is option one, 5 million yen. Option two is to hire 2 or more employees for your company. Now, this is a really interesting thing because that sounds kind of easier because it's just 2 people. Maybe you pay them, less, and it doesn't equate to 5 million yen. But what you have to consider is you are paying for the insurance, the salaries, and everything regarding your employee. There's a lot of complicated things that go into this, and I have started my business as a sole proprietor, so I don't have any employees. This made it very, very easy for me, where I didn't have to go through any employment issues. I didn't have to sponsor any work visas, something I might consider in the future. I might start hiring people, then I don't need the 5 million yen, but hiring these 2 people, it ends up potentially costing more than 5 million yen. And it's a lot easier to show one numerical value and be like, I'm safe, rather than 2 people that depend on you that are going to be registered with your company. And it just messes things up a bit, in my opinion. So, depending on what avenue you want to take, that is what I did. I did the 5 million yen and I registered as a sole proprietor, and I will likely change things in the future, but for the initial startup process, the idea is to just do it and get the visa, make mistakes, and improve as you go along. That's what I did.
Brilliant. Okay, so next question. So just paraphrasing, so how did the community respond to your initial kind of business ideas for Kirameki?
Yeah, it was a really awesome experience after building so much rapport, being like a Kagura member, and they all knew I was doing my graduate degree, and I had a lot of recognition in the community already. And when I started the business, even slightly before, just in the application process, I was actively communicating with the community about what they wanted and what interested them. And I proposed some of my ideas, and I changed things a little bit, and I really had a lot of discussions with people in the community to get firsthand experience of what I should be doing. That guided me a lot. And when it came to starting this, I think immediately people were like, okay, you should be in touch with the tourism office, you should be in touch with this person, this person. And like I said, Japan wants you to succeed. So I was just given this network of people that they thought I would be a good match for. And that happens every day. And now being connected with the tourism office, because my business is about tourism, it's opened up so many doors. So I think developing that network that relates to your business model is going to be super crucial in connecting with people, getting more credibility. And, I was having meetings with the tourism office from day one, and that helped me so much.
I mean, from a personal experience, like, do you think that creating those connections with different people in the whole region, like the whole region of Hiroshima, is that easier in a place like Hiroshima compared to maybe these massive urban jungles like Tokyo and Osaka, which is just, I don't know, it just seems like
Ah, that's a
people,
really
maybe
great
those.
question. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel that so strongly. Even just recently coming back from Tokyo, I can't imagine going into such a saturated pool of companies and competitiveness, and you really can't stand out there. And if you do, maybe you're like weird and crazy for that, because of course everybody's sticking to the grain and like what is known to be successful rather than start something new that could be unsuccessful. So I think starting in a place like Hiroshima, which is really trying to brand itself as a place for startups and entrepreneurs, and the people are so welcoming and kind and warm. I have had such a positive experience here that I can't imagine in so many places in Japan. And I've even heard testimonies from people living in countryside prefectures that are struggling with depopulation. And actually, the communities there are very uncomfortable with change. and they don't really want something like what I'm doing, and they don't really believe it could benefit them. And what I'm finding really interestingly, even with discussions with my town mayor and the chairman and everybody, is people are so excited and they're so open-minded to this idea, and they want to meet who I'm bringing. They want to see what's going on. They want to, they want me to host monthly parties to show them what's going on. And it's a very different atmosphere in my town, and I think Hiroshima, compared to the rest of Japan.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, like it's weird. So the island where I'm living, it almost feels kind of like it's got this Latin vibe. Like the people have like these very kind of like Latin personalities. They're very kind of animated, very energetic, expressive. Which is not always what people imagine, like, in rural Japan. They think, this kind of conservative communities. But I think there's definitely something about Hiroshima, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that way the second I started connecting with people. I'm like, you're so nice and so friendly. It's really interesting.
Fantastic. So yeah, sorry, there's like so many questions. Okay, so how about this one? Can you describe your business model? Um, yeah, I mean, you kind of described it in your presentation, but what I was really interested in was you mentioned like travel without traveling.
Mhm.
I thought that was a really interesting point. So your whole business model is based on bringing people for a more kind of immersive experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, I see like two faces to the business. And one is I'm bridging the world to my community. So, amazing people that want to travel and have deeper experiences, they come here and they are super passionate about Japanese cultures, traditions. They bring this beautiful energy and they are so interested in the history here. And on the other side of things is my community that is so curious about the world. And the people that I'm bringing here are truly bridging my community with the world. I have kids that want to see all these people and they're stunned when they meet this 7 foot guy from the Netherlands, and they're like, I've never seen this person. I didn't know people could get this tall. I didn't know people spoke this language, and I didn't know what the world was like outside of this small town. And there's this beautiful thing I'm doing with even taking guests to experiences and programs and activities. They are directly engaging with the community, and it's a very special, like, interconnected, mutually beneficial thing where the community is learning from the guests I'm bringing and the guests are learning from the community. And it's just super super fun. And now with a new development, I don't even think I mentioned it to you yet, or Michi-san, but I'm going to be trying to do weekly English teaching for my community. And they have asked me specifically because there's not a single native English speaker that lives in my town besides me. And all of the moms and all of the kids are just really interested in having their doors opened by having a native English speaker teach here. So it is a very exciting opportunity, and I really want to do this weekly and consistently. And I asked them, what if I have customers or guests traveling? Is it okay if they, co-hosted with me? They are so excited for that opportunity to even engage with more people, even if it's, I wanted to do international events and I'm coming as like a guest lecturer. So if we bring people here as customers to experience the countryside and you happen to come here on a Thursday night, I want to bring my guests here for the community. And this is my way of, consistently bringing interesting people to my community and supporting them and having some dialogue.
Fantastic. And then, like you mentioned, the person who's decided to stay, and like, so you're creating connections, and that's having this knock-on effect that's just really creating this wider network,
Yes, it's like
all focused in Kita Hiroshima.
Exactly. Like if people come here from anywhere in the world now and anywhere in Japan, they are immediately connected with my network. And I'm just a very social person and I have all these connections in all kinds of places. So the second you come here, it's like you're instantly in a community that cares about you because I care about you. And it's like you just need one channel to sort of open up the doors of this community. And I don't know how other community, I don't know how you would be able to like immerse so instantaneously. And under this branch of Kirameki, it's like you come with a purpose and with your own, I guess, values. We know that, and we respect you coming. I interview each person and heavily vet every person coming in, so by the time you're here, it's like we're just open arms.
Mm, fantastic. There's quite a few questions like asking if you're currently hiring or like volunteer
Yes,
options.
that's
I
an
mean,
excellent question. I can quickly say that currently I have a fully fleshed out team of interns that are working kind of across the world, and I really want to hire locally and in Hiroshima. And part of the business and part of the model is I'm really trying to support Japan, and people that speak Japanese are definitely like the best assets for me, and they end up like moving here and like working in companies, and it's a really beautiful bridge. And for like future employment for this company, I definitely think this is something that can scale and be something that exists in other places. And we just have a beautiful idea that's now growing on its own. And I think there will be future like hiring opportunities and different departments I will need help with. And for volunteering, it's not going to be easily displayed super far in advance, but I do spontaneously list volunteering opportunities every once in a while. Like, if we need you to come plant rice for 5 days and we just host you for free, I will list that somewhere. And I'm trying to have that all on my website, which is really getting fleshed out and more developed. But hopefully, there will be like announcements, basically, like, oh, is there volunteering opportunities? Oh my gosh, she posted this 1 day ago. Let's go. It's going to be kind of more spontaneous. And I have like, months in my mind where we do need some people. And this will become more and more consistent. And as I connect with more places in Japan, I hope that I can list volunteering opportunities in various places in Japan. So you will be able to contribute meaningfully in all kinds of places if I just make this network.
fantastic. I've got a few like kind of quick fire questions about the process. So one person asked like, can you base your office in your home? Like, can they be the same place?
It's a good
Um,
question.
yeah,
It's not easily recommended. You have to
right.
have a distinct you have to have a different place to like sleep versus your office. And even if it's
Okay.
the same building, you have to have like a very distinct like cutoff, like door space or building space. Initially, I was trying to do that. Just seemed so complicated and the requirements were just too intense. And I ended up just renting this amazing office space. And it's easier to rent a place, in my opinion, than to purchase a property. I didn't want to go through all of that yet, and it's so much easier for me to have a contract with a rental agreement saying this is an office. I submit that to the government, it's done. And it's like that made the most sense for me to rent an office.
Brilliant. And then the other one was, can your business proposal be written in English or does it have to be in Japanese?
I think it's got to be in Japanese. And you should definitely start in English. And I'm about to give everybody the ultimate piece of advice to you. You can all write this down. It is something I learned from my internship at the Energy Policy Institute in Tokyo. This is the absolute best translator for all documents and everything you need in Japan. Do not use Google Translate, and it's not ChatGPT, and don't touch those things. It's called DeepL. It's like DEEPL, and this is like what people in companies, people all over Japan use this. And if you're English to Japanese, Japanese to English, this is the most sophisticated and best way to translate your documents. I use this for the process. I didn't use ChatGPT because I had wanted this to be as my own idea as possible. And it was just really easy if you can flesh it out in English and do it. And I guess that is a new avenue for using some AI tools. But in general, it is really, really helpful to use DeepL. This is, even if you put something through ChatGPT, run it through DeepL. Just check it's accurate, because it's going to be a really useful tool for you. So I think that's my best piece of advice for you guys, is to use this translator. That's how I got through everything.
I've just added the link to the site in the chat. And also, like, just a quick question, but so you've got all of your social media work, you've got your business, you've got all your community activities, you've just started a garden. How do you manage your time? And thank you for creating this time for this webinar, because it sounds like you must be the busiest person on the planet.
That's such a good question. I'm also a master's student, so
Okay.
it's been a crazy situation. And I guess I what really helped me from the very beginning is to make sure that everything sort of intersects with each other. And it social media was just something I was doing for fun and just communicating to my friends. Ended up me wanting to update my friends on what my business was, and then that just went viral, and now it's sort of become a way for me to do marketing and explain my business. But it's still something I'm having fun doing it. I'm still maintaining my relations. I'm doing marketing. And my master's is in sustainable energy, and it's like a very deep rooted long term goal for this whole thing is, if I can implement sustainable energy, make everything sustainable, this can be a really incredible model, and all of my capstone research project will be this business. So I'm just finding as many ways as possible to double dip into things. And in order to manage my time, I'm just making things connect with each other as much as possible. And having this seminar and even hosting guests, it doesn't feel like work. And these are just things I enjoy doing. And it makes me really happy. And as long as I'm doing things that make me happy, doesn't matter if it's work or school, it's just all great for me. So that's how I manage.
Brilliant. Fantastic. I've got another question. There's like 70 questions in the
Oh,
Q&A, so
wow.
we're not going to get through them all. But how about this one? So what was the most important connection you made to build your business?
Um, Probably my host dad in the very beginning, who introduced me to Kagura and the town. He was a professor for Hiroshima University. And if you can imagine living with a professor for 6 months, it was just constant research and discussions and bouncing ideas back and forth. And it was a really, really amazing connection I built off of, staying with a host family. So I just really, he was a huge pivotal person through all of this. And it's really like he kind of became like my adopted dad in Japan. And I think that was so nice. And he's the one that's born and raised in this town, and his father had a dream of starting like a sort of community center, and he decided on this dream when he was 92 years old, and he died the year later. And it was sort of like dad, you're too old, you can't think of this thing, you can't start a business. And the dad's like, oh, I wish I could do it. And then I sort of came along with this ignited passion, and I'm sort of doing this for his late father and for the benefit of my community, and intermixed with all of the things that I'm good at and I'm passionate about. So it is definitely like the deepest, almost spiritual relationship, where I was raised Buddhist, his family was Buddhist. It's kind of like we Buddhists believe that we were like meant to like help each other, maybe in our past lives, maybe in this life, and really feels like family.
Wow, that's yeah, very nice. So I'm sorry, I'm keeping one eye on on the clock and the questions. I've got a one here. It's kind of similar to my question that I asked, but yeah, could you describe like a average day? like a your average day on with business activities with your startup?
Yeah, you know, it's just such a mix of doing stuff with social media and the business. And right now, right now, I don't have like any customers directly with me, and I don't have interns directly with me. Things are just gonna ramp up in the next couple weeks. And I think from July, and then I leave to the US for school in August, but July, September, October, November, and then February, March, April, I'm basically fully booked. And what this looks like for right now is I am replying to every single booking form. I am getting through every application. I am creating like dream itineraries that I think would be perfect for that person. And I am giving estimates on like, you know, how much everything's going to cost. I'm basically like a coordinator, bridging people to various accommodations and experiences and activities based on their interests. Everything is customized, everything's case by case. I'm doing everything alone right now too. So day to day right now I'm just getting through forms, and then I'm just enjoying that process, and it takes a whole like it takes hours for me to dissect a person's itinerary, and then we have to have a consultation call, then I have to send them the itinerary, then they come here for 3 days, and then that's like the whole experience is like it's like, you know, a week of work per person. And you can imagine if I have, you know, 100 bookings right now, and I was planning to do like one every month, that's like 100 bookings in like 6 months basically. It's just so much for me to carry, and like 100, yeah, so many people. So I'm just working on a lot of stuff with emails right now, and then working on my garden to like de-stress and do my weeding.
And there's quite a few questions about the 5 million yen and the financing and kind of like how you finance yourself
Yes.
kind of to start up your business. Would there be stuff that you can share about that?
Yeah. And, you know, everyone wondering, like, you know, how I traveled so much, and, you know, how I kind of afforded all of this, because I don't think it's very common for a 24-year-old to have 5 million yen in cash just kind of on them. Basically, the story of, you know, my work history is I started working since the age of 15. And I just worked like a maniac for all 4 years of college. I worked as a waitress, I worked as a teacher, I worked as a bartender. I did as much as possible. I picked up another job in my senior year. And when I started traveling, I was have Australian citizenship as well as American citizenship. So I started working in Australia, and I was volunteering and traveling very cheaply. The only expense basically was my flights, food, and activities, but I would always try and finesse, you know, accommodation and, you know, staying with host families, volunteering places. So I didn't spend much money at all when I traveled to many, many countries. And the only money I spent was through the flights. And I think all of the money I saved in college, I had like a arbitrary goal of having like 30,000 US dollars in the bank before traveling. It was like, if I have that, I can travel forever. And I kind of just had this goal, and I didn't stop working until I reached that goal. And then when I started traveling, I didn't spend any money. I just kept working. And then when I got to Japan with the working holiday visa, I just kept working. So it was just constantly growing, and I traveled as economically as possible. And I made a YouTube video about it like a couple months ago or last year. But it's like you need to save money, and you need to not spend money, and then you're able to do so much. So that's how I financed everything, and that's how I had the money for starting this. And it's just a miracle that it's like 5 million yen. This arbitrary number was like how much money I had.
And I think yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how sometimes it can be really cheap to live in the Japanese countryside compared to other places, especially places outside Japan. I mean, the
Absolutely.
prices are much lower.
Absolutely.
Uh, yeah, fantastic. Also, like you mentioned a lot about how staying with host families really kind of influenced your decision and gave you these opportunities. Like there's a question like, how did you find these host families?
Yeah. So using like workaway.com was my way to like, I worked at a ryokan, I worked in like as an au pair, and those were like I was living in like people's homes doing the work, and that was a really special experience for me. That's a subscription-based website. And then I met people off of social media, which sounds kind of crazy, but there were like weird instances where, someone my age is like, I live in Japan, I have like a house in Shizuoka, like I'd love to, host you and your best friend. And I'm like, okay, like let's go there and, verify people, FaceTime people. And like I was able to do that. And then another subscription based thing that I did to travel is called couchsurfing.com. That costs a little bit of money now, and my father was a host on it, and I've traveled to about like 12 countries using couchsurfing. And it's this like basically you pay annually and you stay with host families for free. And through this situation, it's really like you want to spend time with your host, whether you make them a home cooked meal, you go out together, you spend quality time together. It's really meant for travelers who love traveling and want to contribute in some way. And I was doing couch surfing like all over the world. I did it with my mom in Portland, I did it with my dad in Cambodia. And it's just this interface for kind of brave travelers. And I think that was a really amazing mode of travel that I went through. So that's what I did. I did couch surfing, workaway, social media, and now it's just making friends, and they just want to host me. And through the business, people are like, come see my house and see if we can collaborate. So I think open up doors and do collaborations.
Fantastic. And then another quick question about the visa process. So, what paperwork do you need to show regarding business operations to maintain the visa, and how often is the visa business re reviewed? Sorry.
I only can speak from like this initial process where it's 6 months. So after 6 months of you getting the visa, they are going to review it. And it's really not so hard, considering that, in the initial proposal, you kind of flesh out everything. And what is very surprising in Japan is they don't really seem to care about profit. Like they're not really worried about you making millions of dollars or even reaching your goal for profit. They just care that you're filed for your taxes. They care that you're registered as a real company. They care that you're doing something. Like why they give you the visa? Are you doing something else, or are you working for a random company and just want a business manager? They just want to know that. So I think that's what I found from it. And the three things they mainly check on is like, did you register at the tax office as a company? And do you have an office? And beyond that, those are like that's what is necessary in the renewal. And they don't really go by anything else. And what I did for my case is I give them a lot of supplementary materials. So I'm giving them like a program of like what my business is, like something I've given to customers of like this menu of experiences. I just deliver this everything in this file. I just give it to them, and I wait and see like what they say. They scan everything. They're grateful to have more information than less. So that is why that is what I did.
And I mean, I think currently, so Hiroshima Prefecture, the startup program differs from prefecture to prefecture. And I think at the moment, I understand that Hiroshima Prefecture isn't like industry specific. So that it's kind of
Yeah.
like anyone can apply for any industry.
Yeah.
Did you get a sense of maybe these kind of businesses would be looked on more favorably than other ones? Or were they looking for specific? Maybe like community focused or
Yeah, I think if you start on something, yeah, community focused, it is gonna be a lot easier for people to approve you. Like I wouldn't be, starting up I don't know, like I wouldn't be starting up like a random like soap business if I had like no experience. And they really, I think they also looked at my CV. That was something I submitted in the beginning, and showing that I had worked for Japanese companies, even through my like, at the institute in Tokyo, even like in Kyoto and the ryokan. Those experiences, I think, gave me more credibility to like, oh, she's experienced some life in Japan already. And I think doing something related to those things really helps your case a lot. And Japan has so many initiatives and programs right now, more catered for Japanese people, but in general for rural revitalization and programs that support declining population and sustainable tourism. There are so many initiatives going on right now. So if you do anything related to that and it actually is like legitimate and it shows like a good plan of action, I think it will get by a lot easier, and it is the best avenue to take right now. But I heard that the industry specific thing is going to change in December of this year. So I think after December, there will be some more restrictions on like what kind of business you're operating. But if it's, before that, you can operate a business, any kind of business, I think is going to succeed.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think we've actually yeah, we're coming to the end of the webinar. We're running out of time, but from this point on, we're going to kind of share some slides with information for anyone who's looking to thinking about starting up a business in Hiroshima. So these are just standard slides, but this is, yeah, so what is a startup visa? I think we've touched on that quite a lot. So it's foreigners aiming to start a business in Hiroshima, and it's aimed for people who are currently resident outside of Japan. So that's one thing to think about. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So the benefits, it creates a period where you can establish your company, and then that follows on to obtaining a business management visa. And yeah, so currently, why start a business in Hiroshima? Low hurdles for entrepreneurs. And currently, until December 2025, there are no restrictions for the industry type that you want to apply for. And also a lot of support. Although maybe English support is limited, I think people really try to um, go the extra mile and support you as much as possible, according to what Kira said. Fantastic. Okay, and then the next slide, and I think Kira, you're gonna just yeah recap the process.
Yeah, so you'll want to have the startup activity plan, and this is like the very first step. Arguably the hardest step because this is like the substance of what you want to do, and you have to create, a document that's saying like what you estimate your costs and revenue to be. And that is totally, I had no idea. And I just kind of made it up and gave a good estimate and did some math, and I just did my best with that. So you're creating a whole startup activity plan. Do your best, ganbatte. And then after that, you apply for the visa. So you got to get that certificate from the startup activity plan approved. And then once you do that, you go into the management and administration visa at the Immigration Bureau. This is a totally separate application. This is where the 5 million yen requirement comes in. Like they check all of these things. So startup activity plan, like maybe you have to present those, but it's mostly just the like the itinerary, your idea for what you're doing. Then you do this application that's legitimate, and that's the most important thing. Then you do your preparation and your actual substance of what you're doing. Once you get approved for this visa, you have to have your 5 million yen, you have to secure your office, have to register at the tax office. And then once you do those things, within 3 months of your 6 month probation business manager startup visa expiring, within 3 months of it expiring, you go and then you apply for the management and administrative visa. So that is the best thing for you to do. And once you do that, you could get a year or more. And basically, they're gonna support you through the whole process. It's a series of certificates and evaluations, but this is the way. It's basically 3 steps where you have to do the startup, then you get the visa, then you do the stuff required for the visa, which equals renewal, and then you've got the business manager visa secured.
Fantastic. And yeah, so the QR code on the screen here has the details on the application process, and that also contains a email. Is that on the next slide? Sorry. Yeah, okay. So this is the email address of the department that handles startup visas. So yeah, for kind of more detailed information for anything specific to your personal situation, please just email this and a person from the department will get back to you. Okay, and then the next. Oh, and this is your contact details, Kira. So I guess if people want to contact you directly, you're happy with, yeah.
Yeah, if you email me and even if you put the subject line like webinar question or something, then I can easily find you. But yeah, email me, and I am still working on new developments for my website. I do some consultations, I do booking programs, I do all kinds of stuff related to my business. And yeah, I'd love to connect with all of you. And thank you so much for attending the webinar. I'm reading lots of stuff in the chat and really grateful for the people who attended this. And yeah, I hope you know that we just did our best to share this information as a resource, and I wish I had this resource before starting all of this. So yeah, I hope that you all could get something valuable out of this, and I want to support you, and let me know if I can support you anymore, and I will keep doing my best, and Tom will keep doing his best, and we want this to be a, a beautiful prefecture full of opportunities for everybody. So yeah, and the last thing I'm going to mention is for people that applied for this and like came to the seminar, you will be getting the link for the recording. So we are going to be able to send that to you, and I hope that you'll all be able to use this as a resource for your activities, and you know who to contact if you need help. So I hope that we can continue being a support system for you.
No, thank you very much, Curry. Yeah, I mean, I think this is always like it's sometimes hard to please everyone with these things, but yeah, we just try to give a kind of casual introduction into yeah, your experience, your personal experience of moving to Hiroshima and then starting up the business, and hopefully that can lead to yeah, other things for everyone who's listening. I think we've got one more slide at the end. Okay, so these two links. So the first one, Live in Hiroshima. So this is actually a portal site. So once you find yourself living in Hiroshima as a foreigner, this site has loads of information that's useful for foreign residents. Yeah, so please check that out. And you can also contact them for extra information about, yeah, basically anything. And then Hirobiro, this is the part of Hiroshima Prefecture that handles kind of relocation and advice, giving advice to people interested in moving to Hiroshima, who have hosted this webinar. So please contact them. I'm really sorry if we didn't get to your question, but if you would like that answered, if you can just contact Hirobiro, and then they'll direct that question um, to yeah, whoever can answer it best. And you should be receiving an email from them after the webinar anyway, with the link to the recording. So brilliant. Okay, so I think that's pretty much yeah, it. So thank you, Kira, for such a wonderful presentation and a glimpse into your life and the amazing things that you're doing in Kita Hiroshima. It's been really inspirational, I think, for a lot of people, including me. And yeah, it's been a great experience.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just so glad we can discuss some things that are, confusing for some people if they're just trying to sift through the websites. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really grateful for this experience. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, very good. All right. So thank you, everyone. And yeah, see you again for another webinar. All right.
Very cool. Goodbye, everyone. Good night.